Hello and welcome to the Football Breakdown. It's the final Fantasy EFL preview show of the regular season. I'm Matthew South.
And I'm Ian Cooper.
Yes, hello and welcome everyone to the show. We've reached game week 39 or match day 46 out of 46 for all teams involved. This is the last one, but there is a playoff version of the game coming, which is going to be quite interesting. So, not the final Fantasy EFL preview show of the season, but the final regular season version. So, it's going to be interesting. Ian, how are you doing?
Yeah, all good, thank you. This weekend is going to be absolutely chaos. I'm away on a family holiday. Not great timing with the last game of the season, so I'll be down in Cornwall. So hopefully my signal is good enough to keep up with the action. But yeah, really excited for it. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm facing similar issues, except I'll be in Croatia this weekend, so need to make sure I'm up to date with the time difference to make any lineup changes in time. And I think lineups are going to be key this week because I can see a lot of rotation, a lot of, it's the end of season fun. Maybe some kids get thrown in here and there, and kind of don't want to miss out on points by picking players who don't end up playing. So yeah, I'm gonna have to be keeping an eye out on that if I can get signal and if I remember the time difference. But yeah, no. Other than that, very very good. I'm excited for this one. So we have a quick dive into last week, but first of all, I actually wanted to ask you what have you made of this? Now we're at the end of the season. What are your thoughts overall on this version of fantasy football?
I am a fan of it. I'm a fan of the sort of almost free hit rotation week in, week out. There's definitely a strategy to do well. Like if you look at the people that are at the top of the overall leagues and the top of our leagues, there's definitely some sort of strategy that they're going for the same profile of players each week. They're just alternating who's doing well. So no, I do like it. I would like to see a few more metrics. There's some that are just far too heavily weighted for others, such as like interceptions are just so much higher than say like blocks for defenders. I'd like some sort of better points totals for keepers. I just think keepers are almost irrelevant at this point. And forwards, I get you judge them on goal scoring, but it's far too reliant on them as well, which is why so often we just go one striker because I just don't see the value in it. So if there's a way to change that sort of thing so it's more well balanced, I'd like it. But I know I've really enjoyed it this year. How about you?
Yeah, I do agree with a lot of what you said. I have enjoyed it, but yeah, it's when you look at the total points, maybe the total points isn't the best way to look at it. But annoyingly, looking at average points means you get a lot of crap that comes off of players who generally played one game. Like Harry Webster is the top average point scorer of the season. He's played two games.
Yeah.
But even if you try and read in between all of that, it's defenders. Defenders are the big point scorers. So it's almost like you kind of that 3-2-1 is always the way to go. It feels like, and I just kind of do wish there was some more incentive to pick attacking players. It's similar, I guess, to like FPL where it's almost like you want the 3-4-3 to get your free attackers in there because of their points difference. Whereas this one's almost weighted too much towards defenders, where your the clearance numbers just skyrocket very very quickly. It's an interesting challenge, but yeah, part of me does wish that there was a little bit more balance in the points you could get across the board, just because, like you say, it's like defenders, there's so much they can pick up points for, whereas attackers, it's goals and assists and shots on target. But shots on target is kind of really just tied in with goals in a way,
Yes, it is.
it's such a low like bonus point in terms of that. It's hard to carry it. So that's my only thoughts on it. But other than that, I think it's been great, and I really love the team aspect as well. Even if that's probably the worst part of my entire game is picking two teams to win it every week. So
Yeah.
I always overthink it. But yeah,
That is just before we go on, that is one thing I'll be interested if they change next season as well. Obviously, there's a cap on how many times you can pick a certain team. So obviously, there's five. You get five choices there. I wonder if they're going to do that for players next year as well, because there's some real fan favourites where it would be quite fun to navigate when you pick and decide to use sort of like a Dimitri, for instance. You could have sat with
Yeah,
him the whole season and not worried once. It'd be
yeah,
interesting to do it that way, but then again, I don't know if I'd enjoy it.
yeah. No, that's true. That's true. I do wonder actually in my head. I'm like, what is the highest points team of the season in terms of just like picking one set of players? Had you picked one set of players on day one, I wonder how many points you would get now we've reached game week 39, for example, compared to my actual team. But yeah, I do like the team caps, even though I've only hit the team cap with two teams. I like there are a lot of teams to choose from. It's not that I've won it upped, not that I wanted lowered, maybe, but the way the season's gone, it does feel like it's fallen nicely where certain teams have been in certain runs of form where you pick them, and then when they've fallen off, you don't ever need to pick them again. Like Gillingham early season, Orient second half of the season. You didn't need to pick them early on, so you're not at risk of hitting the five for them. But yeah, there's a few aspects where I'm like, okay, maybe a tweak here or there, but yeah, no, it's been good. It's been good. I'm looking forward to diving back into it next season. As for last week, quickly, yeah, I got complete like rotation roulette. It was a straight one, 115 points for me. Allsop, Sweeney, Carragher, Morgan did well. Birmingham 29 points. We all had Birmingham. We all probably had a Birmingham defender and attacker. Just if you really could just find the right ones, you would have returned good points. Allsop was fine. Stansfield not so much. So lost points there. And then Peterborough just yeah, Peterborough doing whatever they're doing. They've dropped half their team the other night. I think they've dropped basically everyone who's out of contract this summer, apart from maybe one player because they didn't have a replacement for him, which I think is just such a Peterborough thing to do, and I
Yeah.
don't know why I didn't see it coming. So Poker got 1 point. Mothersill actually did play both games. He's not out of contract, but Mothersill at least got 6 points for Peterborough. Did not win a game, so that cost me.
Yeah, I finished with 107 points, and to be fair, for how poor I feel like I did, I was quite actually happy with that total. Like in goal, I had Max Crocombe. It's quite a brave shout. Finished 2-1 in the Cambridge game, which is, I should have seen it coming. They were both fighting for the result, so they're both likely to score. I'm really frustrated with the with the 1-1 against Wigan, with the goal coming in the 96th minute to deny me a clean sheet there. I would be really happy with that one. I had the same rotation issue as you with Jason Kerr. Was out of the second game. Didn't see that one come in, so it only returned me 6 points there. Went for high score Oliver Casey. No clean sheets there. But I was kind of expecting that against the Birmingham game, but didn't really get many clearances and defensive actions. Alwie Morgan was all right. Bear in mind, didn't score or get any assists. 10 points, I'll sort of take it. It was a very steady player. And then as for the two Birmingham players, yeah, I had Stansfield as well. As you said, barely played at all. Got 8 points from him. And my other player was Kieran Dowell, who I was actually really happy with. He got 22 points with getting a goal and assist in that second game. 15 points really, really helped me there. And as for my captain pick, it was the classic thing of I was so focused on the team and looking at the rotation, I actually forgot who I selected as captain. And I captained Abraham Odo, which was terrifying, especially when I saw in that first game how poor they were against Bolton. I thought, oh no, we're really in for a long time here. And it got off to a really bad start in the Mansfield game. They were losing 4-1, and then he ends up getting an assist and saves me with 14 points off the captaincy there. So yeah, not as bad as it could have been. So let's finish this season strong.
So coming into the end of the season, we have a complete full slate. We're going from top to bottom, Championship to League Two. Ian, I believe you're starting off with the goalkeeper in the Championship.
I am, and I'm going to start off by saying that Portsmouth have actually had 3 clean sheets in their last 5 home games. It's certainly something that they're looking to build towards lately. They've been fairly poor defensively this season, averaging 1.6 goals conceded per 90, which is the second most in the league. But I'm confident with this new approach to the games, especially with facing Hull. And again, this might be a risk with such a match of such importance to the away side. But sadly, I just don't see much optimism to Hull's attack. They're goalless in 4 of their last 7 games, losing 1-0 in 4 of those. They're the second average lowest goals scored per 90 across the whole season, and it hasn't spiked recently with them needing to push for vital wins. I'm not dooming Hull here to lose and go down. There's a chance if they draw and Luton lose than Hull survive on goal difference. But it's just a cagey game. So I was looking at Portsmouth goalkeeper. I was assuming it was going to be Schmidt, but then I did see that Ben Killip started their last game. So I'm sort of saying it's going to be either or. Whoever the Pompey goalkeeper is who I would side with. And Matt, I just kind of bring up this point. We actually saw Hull's last final game of the season last year where they needed a result to sneak into the playoffs, and they lost 1-0 to Argyle away. It just sounds all too familiar here for me.
Yeah, that's a very good point. They were very, very blunt in the last season when they needed to win, and yeah, they're just kind of hitting these issues at the wrong time. They really just could not break down that Derby team last weekend, and they're better away from home than they are at home is the only thing
Yeah.
I'd say. But Portsmouth are also just very good at home. They I guess the only thing I would say, and I do agree with the pick, but if you want to bring up the whole thing, I think Portsmouth last season at home when they had won the title. I think they went
Sure.
on to
Yeah.
lose 2-0 to Wigan. But because no one cared, everyone was like throwing the beach ball around in the crowd. There's that video going around where they managed to somehow throw the beach ball in the net, and the away end and the home end simultaneously just celebrated, and the game of football was still going on. So but I feel like there's going to be a party atmosphere for Portsmouth. They secured safety, and I feel that could throw off Hull because it threw them off last year. Certainly once Argyle took the lead, they did not look like scoring. So yeah, I think it's an interesting pick. I'm going for I'm picking the Championship defender, and I'm going to a team we've kind of spoke about quite a lot recently. I'm going to Swansea. I think Swansea ended the season really well. Alan Sheehan's actually been given the job on a permanent basis. I think that's very interesting. There certainly seems to be that they want to drive back towards that Swansea DNA. They just love to bring up all the time. This very much does seem like that appointment. They've gone kind of left field with the last couple appointments, hasn't worked. So here they are. And they're ending the season at home to Oxford. Now, at home, Swansea have 5 clean sheets in their last 6 home games. The only team to score against them in that run was Burnley. So I'm fairly confident that they will be looking to keep out an Oxford side here, who are the second lowest scorers in the league away from home all season. They've scored just 15 in 22. They're not really known for their attacking prowess, certainly under Gary Rowett away from home, and neither team really has much to play for. But I can just kind of see Swansea with Sheehan in charge permanently looking to end the season on a high. Oxford have already kind of ended the season on the high by securing safety, so I don't really see them. I just see this game being. I'm almost treating it like it was a mid-season game where you've got 2 mid-table sides. I just prefer Swansea over Oxford. I can see them winning this game to 0 as they've done with 5 of their last 6 home games. The defenders in particular I'm looking at, well, Harry Darling's a standout one, but he missed last weekend due to a quote-unquote accident. We don't really know what it was, and we don't know if he's going to be fit this weekend. If he is, and if he starts, he is the one I'd say to go just because his average point total is really good. But if he doesn't start, I'm actually going to say I expect Hans Delcroix to start in his place, and I would pick him over Ben Cabango due to his higher clearances per 90 number at 7.44 versus 6. When Delcroix starts, they average 5.4. He averages 5.4 points, but given that I'm also expecting a clean sheet here, we should be well exceeding that number. So yeah, Hans Delcroix, if Darling doesn't start, is my pick. And if Darling does start, well, just go with Darling. So
Yeah. I think Darling's definitely a shout, but I do like Del quite. I believe is it his last game before he returns to Burnley on loan.
it is, yes.
So actually, you maybe expect him to play that game. Then it's sort of one of those not charitable selections, but it's one of those ones that wouldn't surprise you on the last game of the season for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into midfield here, and it's a player that's very under the radar for EFL Fantasy, and that's Ao Tanaka, the Leeds crucial midfielder who's very good rate of interceptions. If he goes through his last 10 games or so, he has a rate of like 3 interceptions in every other game. So maybe not the consistency we look for here, but he has added goal involvements in the run-in with 5 goals and 2 assists coming in 2025. When Tanaka scores high, there's bonus points from all metrics, key passes, shots and targets, interceptions, all the good stuff, especially when Leeds win by a big margin. So a game against Plymouth Argyle where a win is needed, to secure the championship title. I think it's time to side with Tanaka here.
Yeah, funnily enough, I'm sticking in the same game. I'm also picking a Leeds player. I'm gonna suggest Joel Peru. Yeah, it's not even. I mean, there is certainly an anti-Argyle stance here, but it's not even that. It's just that when the two teams when you look at the games, basically Argyle have kept one clean sheet at home all season, so they're not going to keep the clean sheet against Leeds, who have something to play for. The
Yeah.
only team they've kept a clean sheet against at home is Portsmouth, who are one of the worst away teams in the league. So, yeah, uh, they've conceded, sorry, 5 goals to Burnley, 3 goals to Preston, Derby, Sheffield Wednesday, and Middlesbrough. A further 4 or 5 teams they've conceded two plus goals to at home. Peru himself, 19 goals, 8 assists. So I think you're kind of looking at a Leeds team who should get chances here. Argyle are basically down, unfortunately, barring that massive goal difference swing. I don't think that's going to come here. I think Leeds are going to secure the title. I think it's going to be a very frantic game, though. I just feel like Argyle don't know how to not play those games, and they actually do seem to drag the opposition down to their level, which I always find really interesting. Certainly when they play Sheffield United recently. I know Sheffield United were in a bit of a bad run, but I mean, it's happened to Norwich, it's happened to Coventry as well. There's certainly a point where you can't just always catch a team on an off day. There's certainly something that Argyle do that seems to just drag the other teams down to how they play. And the thing is, I just don't see Leeds having that problem. And Burnley didn't, and it was early in the Muslich reign. Okay, fair enough, but Burnley went and scored 4 goals by half time, or was it five by half time? It was ridiculous anyway. It was 5-0 in the end. They certainly were well above it, and I think Leeds are going to be well above it. So, yeah, I can just see them having chances here, and I just want to take the main man in Peru. And if he doesn't start, then whoever does start up front for them, or probably take Nonto actually out wide if Peru doesn't start. But yeah, Leeds attacker is my championship forward pick.
And I tell you what, I'm glad they're already promoted now, because if we were going to go into the playoffs trying to pick a Leeds forward, I find them so frustrating. I know they've been much better in the running; they're a lot more consistent and more free scoring, shall we say? But I've been stumped so many times picking a Leeds forward, and it's always the other one that scores for me. So I'm just sort of glad that they've already got the job done here, and I didn't have to pick one from this game.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Well, that rounds off the championship then. So into League One, and I will kick us off with a goalkeeper pick, and I'm taking Harry Tyrer for Blackpool. Again, I probably should say Harry Tyrer or whoever starts in goal for Blackpool, just in case. This is, well, listen, there's certainly some pros here to Tyrer and Blackpool themselves. 12 clean sheets and 37 for Tyrer. And like Blackpool themselves, okay, their clean sheets haven't been coming too much recently, but they've had a really, really tough run of fixtures at home, especially. They've played basically the whole top 7, 8 at home in their last few home games. Yeah, they managed to keep a clean sheets at Reading. They've actually got good clean sheets against good teams in that run, but it's why their form doesn't look as good is because they've just faced tough opposition. So now they face the worst away team in the league in Bristol Rovers, who have scored just 12 goals in their 22 away games all season. They've actually just scored 2 in their last 9 as well. I don't see that. Like, Bristol Rovers have got relegated thanks to Burton's point the other night. So, the mood's going to be down, morale's going to be down. I don't really see them picking up a performance here against a Blackpool side who, fair enough, their season might have underwhelmed from their perspective, but so they'll probably look to end it on a high. I can only see one winner from this game, and I can't really see Bristol Rovers scoring either. So I want to back that clean sheet chance and Harry Tyrer.
Yeah, and we've got the exact same thinking here. I'm going for Oliver Casey in defence. I'm really sorry, Rovers fans. You're going to want to forget all about the season, but we just had to talk about you once more. Like you said, they scored 12 goals away from home all season. Then you just look at who do Blackpool have to offer in defence, and it's one of the highest average point scorers in the league. Casey sits on 7.2 average. I think he's a must. He's at 2%, nearly just at 2%, and this is going to rise before Saturday. I don't need to do much convincing for this pick, but I'll just rattle through his season stats. It's 3 goals, 1 assist, 53 blocks, and 378 clearances, all from 42 appearances. It just is a must this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, it's one of those things of yeah, like we're both clear on the same page there for the Blackpool Rovers game. So I think yeah, everything I've kind of said echoes what you said there in terms of our thoughts on that one. So I definitely agree with that pick. The midfielder, I guess a similar vibe in terms of just let's just pick one of the best players the game has to offer. I'm actually going further up the table here. I am looking at Reading, and if I'm looking at Reading, I am looking at Lewis Wing. Because of course I am. 48 interceptions, 8 goals, 9 assists this season. He is fantastic. He is one of the highest average point scorers in the game, certainly for a midfielder. He is the highest total points midfielder in League One. And yeah, it's just one of those things of backing the best player for a team who need to win the game. And the thing I kind of like about this angle is that the pressure really isn't on Reading, it's on Leyton Orient. Reading can only win and see what happens elsewhere. So I think that's what they're going to do. They've got a Barnsley team who, they have a new manager in Conor Hourihane who's been given the job permanent, so maybe they'll try and play some football that just leans into the interception angle. We know that Lewis Wing can kind of score from anywhere, so I'm not like goals and assists can kind of come up at any time. I'm not too worried. It's not like we necessarily need one, but I'd love one. But it's like it doesn't almost matter who the opposition is because he's got such a good shot on him. The chance can come from anywhere. So yeah, I just think he's too good to leave out this week. Similar to Casey, high percentage picked at the moment. Reading need a win, but I don't think the pressure's going to be fully on because if there's nothing they can do if Orient win anyway. So it's not like it's theirs to lose. It's just they need to go out there, do their job, focus on themselves, and I think they will, and I think they'll win. And if they're going to do that, Lewis Wing is going to be absolutely key to it all. So, yeah, Lewis Wing in midfield.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked a Reading player. I was looking at this game, this is so fun. But when I had the forward selection for League One, Reading isn't really the place that you want to go. So let's go for the team that has got the pressure on them, and it's obviously going to go for Charlie Kelman of Leyton Orient. Like you said, they've just got to match Reading's result to sneak into that last playoff spot. And if there is a man that doesn't mind the pressure, it's Kelman. He's got 7 goal involvements, which is 6 goals and 1 assist in his last 5 games. They're away to Huddersfield, which I still don't know if that's awkward or not. Huddersfield just haven't been good this second half of the season at all. They do have some okay wins from home, but the last 2 wins were against Crawley and Mansfield. I wouldn't say that they're good wins. I'm just saying that they're wins that you should expect. So for this tie, if it is going to be decided by anyone, I just think it's going to be decided by Charlie Kelman. He's 2 goals in the lead of the Golden Boot as well. So unless is it Stansfield that's closest to him, unless he can do something there, I expect Kelman to get the Golden Boot, and I think he should be a shoe-in for this game as well.
Yeah, no, definitely agree there. I think, yeah, if Orient going to do this, Kelman's going to be key to that. So, it's a weird one as well. Like you say, is it an awkward game? Is it not? Huddersfield, it probably does fall in that awkward category because you just don't really know what you're going to expect with them. I think the issue I've had with them recently is they actually look quite good for 10 minutes of a game. but only that 10 minutes, and then they'll just turn terrible. So Orient should be able to outlast that. It's one of those games of if Huddersfield have a bit of momentum and Orient outlast it, that game's only going to end one way, and it's an Orient win. And if they need a goal, who else but Charlie Kelman to score it?
So I'll move us into League Two now, and I've got the goalkeeper pick. And for me, this actually might be a must-watch game for Saturday. It's 2 teams trying to crawl over the line to finish in the playoff spots. Both teams winless in their last 4 games. And it is sort of winners takes all for the Grimsby versus Wimbledon. I want to say Eastwood for Grimsby with the game being at home, and in the reverse fixture, Grimsby beat Wimbledon 1-0. But Wimbledon are the clean sheet specialists. Avoiding defeat here will keep Wimbledon in the playoffs, with Salford having a worse goal difference and 2 points behind, and Chesterfield needing all 3 points and a goal difference swing of 2 goals. So essentially, a point is good enough. and Wimbledon will feel more confident in holding out Grimsby. So Owen Goodman is the pick for me. Much like the whole season, really. It's 20 clean sheets in 45 games, so it's just so hard to ignore here.
Yeah, no, fully agree. That League Two playoff picture is an absolute mess, and I love it. It's yeah, the fact that Wimbledon have kind of ended up in this situation is just remarkable. When they were kind of on the edge of the automatic spots, no wins, and now they've been dragged into the playoff picture again. Yeah, it's not great for them that they actually are going to the last day needing a result. But yeah, I think they'll get it, and yeah, I think that's a good pick. In defence, I'm going for another team who need a result. I mean, ideally, it's not the end of the world if they don't, because it's Port Vale. They're already promoted. They are going for the title, and I think they could well get the title with Doncaster having to travel to Notts County. Notts County, if they win, could potentially get automatic promotion still if results go their way. So I think that's going to be a tough game. And listen, if that's the case, then, well, Port Vale are going to just try and do their business. They're at home to Gillingham. Gillingham don't have anything to play for, but, you know, have ended the season all right. They're kind of draw specialists, really. They're just upsetting everyone else's season. So there's one last chance for them to do it. I don't think they're going to do it, though. I think Port Vale are too good, and I think now the pressure's off. We're just going to see a Port Vale side who can really just almost just play and enjoy themselves. And when they started doing that against Bromley the other week, they were phenomenal, and Bromley had no chance, even though had been a decent away side in the run into that game, and Port Vale won 5-0. So I kind of think that if Port Vale get going here, they're just going to keep out Gillingham. Gillingham aren't going to see much of the ball, and we're going to get a clean sheet. And the player in particular that I'm after is Connor Hall, who has just been a mainstay in my team for the majority of the season. I love picking him. He's very reliable for points totals, 8.47 clearances per 90, and he's due a goal. Like, I feel like I haven't been saying this all season, but listen, it's hit the point now where he has an XG of 3.71. He's had 35 shots and 0 goals. Well, what? Come on, it's got to happen. He's got to score finally. So yeah, I want to take Connor Hall, and I think the clean sheet is a very good chance here. I think his clearance points stack up regardless of the game. He seems to kind of have that about him with the fact he plays at like that outside centre back spot. And also, yeah, I think if we can get a Port Vale title thanks to a Connor Hall goal, I would be going home happy. So Connor Hall for me.
Yeah, nice. And I'll stick with that theme of I'm going to go for one of my favourite players. Any listeners who have been with us since pretty much the start of the pod know how much I love Osama Ashley. I found him really early on. I've been sticking with him. Sadly, he was struck by injury, but he's back, and he is really back. I'll just go through his last 5 games. Got 10 points against Colchester with 3 interceptions and 1 assist. 14 points against Morecambe, 3 interceptions, 1 goal. 9 points against Accrington, 4 interceptions. 8 points against Salford, 3 interceptions, and then 5 interceptions against Notts County to get 12 points. Like, he's just such a good average scorer. They are playing Carlisle away from home, which they basically just need to win, which will guarantee them that last playoff spot. And Ashley is the man for this occasion here. So yeah, I'm going to Osama Ashley here.
Yep, very nice. And then to round off League Two, I am going to Callum Kavanagh for Bradford. I don't love this pick, but I really actually struggled with the forward options. And this is like Kavanagh's got 6 goals in his last 8 games, but he's only scored in 3 of them. So this is basically like a do or die pick. I can see Kavanagh having a really high haul or not doing anything at all. So I'm just gonna try and bank on the high haul here because, and there is actually some logic to this. This isn't like a stab in the dark. Fleetwood have conceded 6 goals in the last 2 away games, and they've conceded 2+ goals in 5 of their last 9 away games. Their defence is actually quite leaky at the moment. They're conceding goals. Bradford themselves have got a phenomenal home record. Like, it's apart from their loss to Tranmere and then their draw last time out, they have won every other game this year and going back into December. And actually, if you look at the league table, they have by far the best points return at home. Like, I think it's 6 more than whoever's in second. Their issue is just on the road. So being at home, finally getting back out of League Two, I think they're going to do it, and they're going to they have potential here to score quite a few goals against a Fleetwood team whose season's been done for a while. So with that being said, I think Kavanagh does come back into that category. And then the fact that when he scores, he seems to not just stop at one. His 3 games, it's a hat trick, 2 goals, a goal, and an assist. So that's how he's got his 6 goals, 1 assist in 8 games. So yeah, it's never just one. It's always something else, which is kind of why I'm thinking there could be a potential for a haul here from Kavanagh.
Yeah, nice. I was actually having this conversation with someone on social media the other week. I don't know if you saw it. I was sort of deciding on a forward pick, and someone suggested Kavanagh. And the only reason that I don't seem to side of him is, like you said, he does score braces. He's very good. When he's on, he's really on. There's 2 things. They sort of always seem to happen in the first half. If he doesn't get off to a good start, then I don't really see much of a return from him. And he's just one of the favourites to get subbed off each game. Okay, it doesn't happen too early on. It's not happening in the 60th minute. It happens maybe in the 80th. But if you're ever in a situation where Bradford are pushing for a result, he just seems to be one of the favourite players to get subbed off, and that just frustrates me. Doesn't mean to say that's going to happen. It's just a pattern that I've noticed, and it just sort of puts me off him slightly.
Yeah, no, it's one of those picks that I kind of made, and I'm there like I don't love it, but it has potential to definitely be worth bringing up. Um, I found the League Two forward quite tricky this week because he could just come out and just be like, we'll just pick player of the season, Michael Cheek. But like it's one of those games where there's nothing really riding on that game, and I don't really know how I feel about picking that. Whereas Fleetwood stand out as one of the worst defences away from home recently. So the fact that they're playing a Bradford team with something to play for does edge me to this pick. And certainly Kavanagh does have goals in him. It's just whether or not he can get going. But yeah, that basically rounds up our picks for the week. Iain, do you have your sub 0.1% pick?
I do, and I've got a really fun pick which I'd be really excited about if we were looking at this in November, December. It might be a little bit late on in the season to discuss it, but I am looking at Alex Palmer for Chesterfield. A real outside chance of them getting into the playoffs. He's been playing centre back for them. He's actually only played 14 games this season. He sort of basically came in from March onwards, but he's had some ridiculous scoring recently, picking up 15 points and then a small 2 points, 10 points and 16 points. It is sort of needed from a goal contribution, but Chesterfield actually are quite decent at set pieces that I've noticed lately. And look, he's got 2 goals and 1 assist in his last 4 games. As a 0.1, the last pick of the regular season, I thought I'd just go for something fun. Not very reliable, but let's just have a hit on it and see what I get.
Yeah, very, very nice. I'm actually going back to a player that I've used before, and I'm kind of making up for my my cautious League Two forward pick by picking a League Two forward. Yeah, there's a reason I did actually have someone in mind that I do like, but he's at 0% and I'm taking him. So don't ignore everything I said for Kavanagh. I think that is still a good shout. But listen, here's the better option. It's a Hakeem Adelakan for Salford because he is just still he's far too good for this level, and the fact that he's been playing wing back and still scoring goals is just ridiculous. He is unbelievable. He is. I kind of said before when I picked him, I was like, when he gets going, when he gets on the run, he is his points returns are so good, and his goals and assists are so consistent. And then he kind of got a bit of an injury, died down, missed a couple of games, or just had a few poor performances. But it's 3 goals, 2 assists in his last 5 games. It was a double against Colchester. He's also on penalties because he just has that swagger about him that makes him a good penalty taker. And that's not saying, oh, that's the only thing, but I mean, they have Cole Stockton in their team who could take penalties, but he doesn't because Adelakan does. Yeah, everything you said about the Salford game when you're on about the Ashley pick just stands true. Like, I think they're going to win here. They're away to a Carlisle team who are already relegated, who concede goals. I think I want to pick someone who I can just see being so influential to a team about to get into the playoffs. And yeah, Adelakan is the pick for me.
Yeah, no, so fun. It's mental how he's 0% selected. I just looking at his run in here. Like you said, he went through a bunch of goals and assists. Got halted by a red card against Chesterfield on the 11th of March. Took him a couple of games to get back into it, and then bang, straight back onto it, as if his form's never gone. He's so fun.
Yeah, and like the interesting about the Salford team is like it's just how almost flexible they are when they play because him and Kelly Lamai have kind of swapped around positions. Earlier in the season, I feel like Adelaide was almost leading the line, and now he's very much out wide. But it doesn't mean he stays there. He basically just becomes a third striker for them, does zero defending, and but he's one of those things, one of those signings who, when Salford managed to get him in the summer, I kind of couldn't believe that he hadn't. If he was staying in League Two, he didn't go to Doncaster again, and
Yes.
B, he was staying in League Two. I just couldn't believe it, and he has taken a while to get going. But every time he's got going, I'm just looking at him like it's 12 goals and 4 assists in 29 games, and okay, some players might have better records, but he's effectively playing wing back and has that return. Like, it's ridiculous. And if he does play up front, well, even better for us. So yeah, Adelaide can absolutely get on board that one. So Ian, do you want to run me through what your team looks like going into this weekend?
Yep, sure. So I've got Owen Goodman in goal, and then two defenders of Oliver Casey and Alex Palmer. My midfield three are Ao Tanaka, Lewis Wing, and Osama Ashley. And then up front, I've gone Charlie Kelman.
Very nice. In goal, I have Harry Tyra, and I'm pairing him up with Oliver Casey in defence. I'm also adding in Harry Darling at the moment, but like I said, lineup dependent. And I also have Connor Hall in midfield. Lewis Wing and Anthony Sarcevic is my Bradford angle. He's back in the team now, and I almost think he might be a bigger goal threat than any of their forwards. So I'm going to get on him. And up front, my sub point one, Hekib Adelaken. And then into the final part of the show, then, where we have our teams to win. And as always, myself and Ian place £5 bet on both our teams to win. And if they do, well, we win some money. So that part is for over 18s only. And please gamble responsibly. But also need the points. I'm trying to catch you up. So I'm kind of focusing on the points this week. Then the head-to-head, I've basically lost. So unless I try and pick the two most obscure winners.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to accept defeat. So the points it is for me this week, and I'm basically picking two away teams with who I think are going to win and have reason to win. First one, Leeds United. I've got one more use out of them, so I'm just going to use it up here. I think they can go to Home Park, win, wrap up the title. Yeah, nothing really more to add on that one. And the second one is Leyton Orient. They're away to Huddersfield. I think they're going to win and get over the line and into the playoffs. It's going to be it's a tough one, but yeah, listen, I'm going for the points. I'm going for the wins and the minimum nines, hopefully an 11 or 2 as well. The combined Leeds and Leyton Orient £5 bet returns £11.15. So this certainly is one for the points and not for the returns.
Yeah, lovely. And just to make sure you can't catch me up, I'm going to go Leeds and Leyton Orient. No, not really. I've got my own bet here. I was actually looking at Leyton Orient. I did say off air, I'm going to take them out. So I've got two different teams. First up, I've got Blackpool at home to Bristol Rovers. They're odds are 3-5. I thought it was actually quite generous for how poor form Bristol Rovers are in. So I don't mind that one. And then I have got Doncaster to go win away at Notts County. It's a high risk game, but I think Notts County their form's not looking too favourable once they get into the playoffs. Doncaster have just had a real resurgence in the second half of the season. So yeah, my double of Doncaster and Blackpool gets me the £5 returns £22.42.
Very, very nice. Very interesting picks as well. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you all for listening. Do follow us on our socials. We're on X at FBBD Pod, and we are on Bluesky at Football Breakdown. Yeah, we will have updates to our teams as it's we kind of had to put the teams together for this recording, but Seeing as there's no deadline until Saturday, there's plenty of time for changes and stuff. So if we do make any changes to our actual teams, those who follow us on the socials, will be the first to know. But yes, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for the support this season, and we will speak to you in the playoffs. Thank you, Iain,
Thank you, Matthew.
and take it easy.